Hi friends, an interesting one for you today. I'm going to show you how many kills you would need to be the number 1 player for each legend in Apex Legends as of season 19. Listen out for your main to see how close you are to being the number 1 player with your legend. Before I get into the video, can I just wish you all a very Merry Christmas and thank you to all of you for your amazing support. Each and every one of you that have watched any of my videos this year, and especially those of you that have watched every video I put out. Honestly, I couldn't do this without you, so thank you so much. Now let's get into the video. I mapped out all of the highest skill players based on platform, and this is thanks to ApexLegendsStatus.com with all the great data that they collect. Obviously with cross progression it means some of the scores you see now in this video are going to be combined, so you might end up seeing PC looking the same as one or two of the consoles. That's going to be normal now because cross progression has merged a lot of those highest kills. We'll take it in alphabetical order, so first up is Ash. If you're an Ash main, these are the stats you'll need to strive to be the number 1 player based on kills for each of these platforms. You can see there the highest kills on any platform is 112,889 kills by a player called LPS Sethuna. This is just a clear example there where you see a PlayStation and PC player merging their accounts, becoming the number 1 Ash player on both PC and PlayStation now thanks to cross progression in season 19. Obviously anything in the thousands is going to be impressive on one legend, but scoring over 100,000 on Ash, a legend that was released in season 11, is pretty impressive. But don't worry, there are a lot more impressive kill records to come on some legends that you may not expect and some that are pretty obvious. So stay tuned and hopefully we'll get to your legend soon. Next though, we've got Ballistic. To be the number 1 Ballistic in Apex Legends, you need to get 58,372 kills, which you can see here. This is currently held by a player called TTV Limit is High. As Ballistic was released in season 17, this high kill record means you would need to average 29,182 kills a season if you were to get this number of kills. That's a pretty crazy number. Even with a 10 KD ratio, you're going to have played a crazy number of games in these 2 seasons alone. So definitely respect to the current record holder, and if you're looking to become the number 1 Ballistic on your platform, now you know what you need to do. Moving on to Bangalore. No surprises here, it's going to be a high number given she's been around since season 0. You can see the number 1 Bangalore has 177,515 kills. This is actually someone called Not Invisible on Xbox, which even myself I was surprised about because I always thought Shiv, the legendary streamer, was the number 1 Bangalore. And it's true, he is still the number 1 Bangalore on PC, but he holds second place overall now. Because of his injury, he hasn't been able to play as much, and that's given a chance to this Xbox player to overtake him. Still though, respect to Shiv for being the greatest Bangalore player of all time. Moving on to Bloodhound, the number jumps even higher. You can see the highest kills is a PlayStation player on 242,609 kills. That's a staggering amount of kills. One thing you might start noticing is that you can see Switch players are some ways behind, and that's obviously because Switch got Apex Legends a little bit later than these other platforms. Plus, it is just a harder platform to play on competitively. Next up we've got Catalyst. The number 1 Catalyst player has 97,821 kills. It's a player called ForgetStat, who was seemingly an Xbox player, but since season 19 it looks like their account has merged with their PC account, meaning they now dominate both platforms. To be fair, this is also a pretty crazy figure, given Catalyst just arrived in Apex Legends back in season 15, which isn't that long ago, meaning this is another legend you would have had to average over 20,000 kills a season since their launch to be able to have got to this figure. Sticking with the alphabetical order, let's move on to the smelly man himself, Mr. Caustic. Holding top spot here is the one and only LG Giggle Autumn. She's got an impressive 155,703 kills with Caustic, which I think is a pretty impressive feat given Caustic has been out of the meta for a good few seasons now. It kind of shows that even a non-meta legend can still be useful if you're a good enough player. Let's head on to our next legend now. The number 1 Conduit player in Apex Legends is sat on 17,462 kills. Obviously this is the lowest record figure for a number 1 player at the moment for any legend, but of course that's just because Conduit's been released in season 19, which is this season. So it's actually more impressive the more you think about it, because season 19 hasn't even finished. We're just about halfway through, and Ziggy the King, who's the number 1 player, holds 17,462 kills on Conduit. I imagine by the end of the season, if Ziggy keeps up this record, they're going to end up pretty close to 30,000 kills on Conduit by the end of the season. 30,000 kills in a season, that's pretty unbelievable. Let's look at the next legend now, and that's Crypto. The number 1 crypto player in Apex Legends has 152,055 kills. It's a player called Toxic Fireblood, and it is kind of surprising given crypto's never really been a meta legend to pick. Moving on, we've got Old Man Fuse up next. To be the number 1 Fuse player in Apex Legends, you need to get 80,466 kills. Now it's a PlayStation player that's on this kill record for number 1 player, which I do find interesting because there definitely seems to be a lot more PlayStation players reaching number 1 than any other platform. So it must be something about those PlayStation players that takes them to the next level. It's time for everyone's favourite teddy bear now, Gibraltar. The number 1 Gibraltar player is on 144,665 kills. After Gibraltar, we've got Horizon. Now, no surprises, the number 1 Horizon player has a large number of kills, 230,324 to be exact. This player's got a fair few kills more than the next place, who's on PlayStation at 145,401 kills. So I definitely feel like Horizon, if you're trying to get to number 1 spot, it's going to be a tough one for you. Into the L's now after Horizon, sticking with the alphabetical order, we've got Lifeline. The number 1 Lifeline has 208,988 kills, which I guess is fair since she's been around since Season 0. It is interesting also that Horizon was released later than Lifeline, but the number 1 player has more kills than the number 1 Lifeline player. Sticking with the L's though, we've got Loba next. For those of you that know my channel well, you know I'm a Loba main. Unfortunately, I'm not quite number 1 just yet. The number 1 Loba player has 139,670 kills. After Loba, we've got Mad Maggie. Current number 1 Mad Maggie has 103,750 kills. And this one's held by a player called TTV_Flaco Scott. You've definitely got some ways to go to catch up this number 1 Maggie. And I'm assuming this player uses a lot of shotguns. After Mad Maggie, we've got the Bamboozler himself, Mr. Mirage. Being another Season 0 legend, Mirage's number 1 kills are pretty high at 253,843 kills. We're slowly moving towards our final set of legends now, so if you haven't heard your main yet, they'll probably be coming up very soon. The number 1 Newcastle next, they've got 69,029 kills. Aside from Conduit, this is actually one of the lower side of kills for any legend, and even though Newcastle's been in the game a few seasons now, he is one of the slightly more tricky legends to use. And another thing you'll notice when you start looking through the scoreboards, there really aren't that many people with high kills on Newcastle compared to many of the other legends. Springing back though with 2 really high kill legends, first we've got Octane. The highest kills on Octane is surprisingly an Xbox player at 169,696 kills. The reason I say surprising is because I feel like Octane's a really good legend for movement people, and generally movement people tend to play on mouse and keyboard. So in all honesty, before making this video, I kind of thought a mouse and keyboard player would hold the highest kills for Octane, but I guess that's not quite the case. After Octane, we've got Pathfinder, and you can see the crazy amount of kills the number 1 Pathfinder has, 318,315 kills. This is actually the highest number of kills on any one legend in the game. Just imagine how many hours you'd have had to put into the game, no matter how good you are, to get to 300,000 kills. It's a player called Mad Brew on PlayStation. I'm not quite sure how they got so many kills. I'm assuming they've just been grinding since Season 0. There are quite a lot of you Pathfinder mains out there, so let me know in the comments, how close are you to holding number 1 spot for the most kills on Pathfinder? Next up we've got Rampart. I was kind of surprised by these Rampart figures. I know Rampart has improved in the meta in recent seasons, but she has always been a bit of a tricky one to use. So it's interesting to see that someone's actually got to 121,947 kills on Rampart. That's definitely respectable. After Rampart, of course we've got Revenant. The number 1 Revenant in Apex Legends has 178,051 kills. That's a player called Revengeful. I'm assuming they were a PlayStation player, but you can see now they've also taken number 1 spot on PC. After Revenant, we've got Seer. Obviously, Seer's fallen off massively in the pick rate in recent seasons after a number of nerfs. He's actually now one of the least picked legends in Apex Legends, and that's why you can see the top number of kills hasn't risen that high. However, it's still a respectable 109,000. Don't worry, we're almost there. I know you Wraith mains are eagerly waiting to see how you compare to the number 1 Wraith. Before we get there though, we've got Valkyrie. The number 1 Valkyrie here has over 150,000 kills, and that's a player called Supreme Legacy who plays on PlayStation. After Valkyrie, alphabetically, obviously we've got Vantage, a legend that's not quite as popular, and you can kind of see that in her kill figures. They are still respectable though at 88,800 192 kills. And now for the final two legends in the game. Firstly, we've got Wattson. The number 1 Wattson has 167,755 kills. One thing I did notice with Wattson is that the top players are very close for kills. You can see that across the platforms here, as well as within the platforms when you look through the scoreboards. So that's Wattson. Our final legend for today's video is of course Wraith, the original sweaty legend, and pretty much every sweaty player that you could think of has probably mained Wraith at some point. You can see that with these kill figures. The number 1 Wraith has 317 kills. It's actually the second highest of any kills on a single legend in the game, just slightly behind that number 1 Pathfinder player. This is a Japanese or Korean named player, so I'm just going to be honest, I have no idea how to say their name, but it is a crazy number of kills on Wraith, so mad respect to them. And there you have it. Those are exactly how many kills you would need to be number 1 on each of the legends in Apex Legends. Obviously you can see it's no easy feat to be number 1 for kills on a legend, but one thing's for sure, at a certain point it becomes about not just how good you are at the game, but also how much time you have to play the game. For example, if you think about it, having a 10 KD ratio is very good. Those 200,000 kill players would still have had to play 20,000 games to be able to get to that though. One thing I should say is I've not double checked if anyone's cheating or any of that, so I don't want to make any allegations, but I also apologize if I haven't recognized that any of these are done through cheats. I feel like if they've been banned though, their stats are removed from the database. So based on when I've made this video and picked up these stats from last week, I'm assuming they're accurate up till now. Let me know in the comments though if you know any different. And I guess one last question I'd ask you is, how do you feel now about your main, now that you've seen how many kills the best player in the game has? Like I said, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all of your support, and I'll catch you later.